Welcome to Crime Stoppers. I'm your host, Chip Brown. Now, Heartland Crime Stoppers is a community-based program designed to help law enforcement solve crimes by setting up a system which allows the public to phone in tips anonymously and receive cash rewards for information that leads to 1, an arrest, 2, the recovery of stolen property, or 3, the recovery of illegal drugs. Heartland Crime Stoppers is funded through the Florida Crime Stoppers Trust Fund and also through donations from the community. Citizens and local businesses make Crime Stoppers work. On today's show, we will talk with Joe Hall, Chief of Police from Barstow Police Department, and feature some of Polk County's most wanted criminals and unsolved cases. We kick off our show with Charlie Bird, Chief of Police from Winter Haven. The Winter Haven Police Department consists of 85 sworn officers and 28 civilians. The department has been state accredited by the Commission for Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation since 2002. Chief Bird, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. Now tell us a little bit about yourself and Winter Haven. Let's start with you, if you don't mind. I understand you actually got your start outside the state of Florida.
Yes, I was born actually in Winter Haven, Florida, at the hospital, and raised in Auburndale. I moved out of high school to Houston, and that's where I got my introduction to law enforcement when I became a dispatcher out there.
So you started as a dispatcher, what, the Houston Police Department? Or?
Actually, it was a substation of San Jacinto College.
Okay, from the college up there.
Yes.
And how long were you there, Chief?
I was there about 5 years.
And just had to get back to Winter Haven, right?
Actually, I tell everybody I went out there to meet my wife and brought her back with me to Polk County. And this is where I've been for 25 years now.
Well, I know that you're awfully excited, and you have just been had the interim title removed from your police chief.
Yes, sir. In January. That's correct.
Yeah, I know that's an exciting time. Probably. Did you ever foresee that you would be the police chief in Winter Haven?
No, I honestly didn't set that goal until later on in life, and I thought I would be pretty excited if I managed to retire out as a lieutenant or maybe a captain, but certainly not as a police chief. So I'm honored to have this opportunity, and the city manager gave me this opportunity.
Well, I know you've put in a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours. So tell us a little bit about your history with Winter Haven. How did you start, and some of the things you've done in Winter Haven?
Well, of course, I started as a patrol officer, answering calls, and worked my way through the different divisions. Went to the Delta, which was a street crimes unit. I went to investigations and was the intelligence detective. Got promoted to sergeant and then to lieutenant eventually, and captain, and now chief.
Absolutely. It's a lot of time on midnight shifts and a lot of long hours, I'm sure. So congratulations. I know that,
thank you very much.
Community's glad to have you here. Now, Winter Haven has been putting a lot of emphasis, especially lately and over the years, on community policing. How has that helped your agency, and what maybe some things you'd like to expand on?
Yeah, community policing is, back in the 90s, the method was bike officers. It had to be bike officers. But community policing
bicycle
is
or
bicycles. I'm sorry, yes, bicycle officers. And community policing is a philosophy. It should be a department-wide philosophy. Through that, community policing efforts, we've developed some great relationships and great partnerships with the community, the business community, the citizens, the visitors of Winter Haven. And those partnerships have resulted in a lot of help. For instance, with Crime Stoppers, we use social media on a regular basis to help us identify people that are wanted by us, and that community has put their foot forward and helped us in a huge way in identifying bad guys. And through those efforts, in our crime suppression model that we utilize, we've actually seen another double-digit reduction in crime this year.
Oh wow!
We're at little more than 12% reduction. We're at 4.25 crimes per 100 now, so we're well on the way to our goal of getting below that 4.
Yeah, I'm sure as you talked earlier before the taping here that you always want to have no crime, but
yeah, that's my guys look at me sometimes that I'm like crazy because I'm generally asked what's our goal, and I'll say 0 crime, but that's because that's what I want the target to be, and I don't want to miss the target. You know, sure, it's going to be tough to do, but we're going to aim for that, and it may be impossible, may not be impossible, but we're going to try for that.
Yeah, it would certainly be nice not to have that, but unfortunately we have people that just sometimes insist on doing things their own way and not having respect for other people or other people's property or other people's rights. You know, they seem to want to trump everything. So it can be a long, arduous journey. Now, you have the distinction in Winter Haven of having basically the only attraction, you know, in Polk County with Legoland. Now, that has certainly made an impact,
That's
I'm
correct.
sure.
Yes, sir, it has. You know, we work closely with the Polk County Sheriff's Office in that area because Legoland is actually in the county right now, but there's city limits right across the street and then all intermingled there. So we have to work in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department employees to make sure that we keep that crime low down there. So just because Legoland's in the county doesn't mean that we're not going to be affected in the city, and that's why it's important that we have to have that relationship as well.
Absolutely. Do you have any idea of the extra people that brings into Winter Haven that normally don't live there, that how that affects your operations?
I don't have the numbers, but yes, the folks that come to Legoland stay at our hotels, they visit our restaurants, they come in and shop, and with Legoland kicking off their resort hotel, that will certainly keep a lot more people in the Winter Haven area as well. So we have to always be mindful. That's part of our crime suppression efforts, is that we have to be mindful of where there's trends, of where there's hot spots, so that we can put resources and apply them in those areas and solve the problem before it becomes an issue. You know, because we look at it. I mentioned that reduction in crime. We look at that as not just numbers. We look at that as each one of those reductions represents one less victim. That's one person that's not been a victim of crime.
Yeah, you had mentioned earlier, like say, it's not numbers, it's people.
That's correct.
And people seem to think, with crime happens, that it actually is an individual that has either been accosted or been robbed or been the victim of a crime. And it means much more if you put a person behind or a face with that crime as opposed to just a number.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, you've been doing a lot of specialized training in non-lethal and de-escalating.
Yeah, we've been doing that actually for a number of years with our, we have inert taser cartridges, we have inert spray, pepper spray, we use simunitions, we have officers in suits that do role play, and the whole idea is to get an officer so that they're thinking constantly what their options are, and so that they can pay attention. If it's something that when they get there it justifies lethal force, but then it de-escalates, we want them to be able to de-escalate smoothly. So it's through training. Training is the basic function that whenever we get into a stressful situation we revert back to automatically. So that's why we put an emphasis on that training.
Absolutely. I recall back when I was coming up in law enforcement in the 70s that because what you train is how you're going to react. And
That's
there were
correct.
cases back then we were using the wheel guns or revolvers, and there were cases where they would find officers that had been shot or been killed and they had spent cartridges in their hand. Back in those days, you always put the spent cartridges into your hand because you didn't want to have to bend over and pick them up.
That's right.
And it's
That's
just something
exactly
as
right.
simple as that, and you get in a stress situation and you revert. So something just as simple as that, you need to train in the way you're going to react. And
That's
so
correct.
It's so very, very important. Now, a little bird told me, no pun intended, that you are the unofficial history buff for the Winter Haven Police Department.
I do like the history of the Winter Haven Police Department. I've kind of made it my job to try to preserve history as best I can. I don't know that I'd call myself the historian of the department, but I'm certainly a history buff of the department, yes.
Yeah, it's always good to look back on what others have laid the groundwork, for where you are today and your department is today. So it's always nice to honor those people. You've had a lot of great leaders come through and a lot of great officers, and I've worked with a number of them. So
That's correct, and you never want to forget them. Yeah, you never want to forget your history.
Yeah. Tell us about your working relationship, with the City Commission and the mayor in Winter Haven.
Well, and I'm not saying this just because I'm on TV. I have to say that relationship has been phenomenal. We have a great open communication. I'm able to communicate with the city commissioners, the city manager. It's just a fantastic relationship. I can't say enough about them. Derek Fietcher is a fantastic boss, and I'm pleased, I'm blessed to be working in the environment that I'm working in right now as a police chief.
Chief Byrd, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us.
For more information on the Winter Haven Police Department, you can visit them on the web at www.winterhavenpd.com or follow them on Facebook at Winter Haven Police Department. Crime Stoppers provides a method for local law enforcement to receive information on crimes. These efforts increase tips, which in turn increase arrest in our community. Here's a look at some of our most wanted and some of our unsolved crimes.
The Lake Alfred Police Department is looking for this suspect. He entered a property at 875 South Buena Vista Drive and removed 3 video cameras from the exterior eave of the residence. The subject approached the residence on a boy's BMX bicycle. If anyone can identify this subject, please make contact with Lieutenant Jerry Dempsey at 863-291-5200. Our next case is an armed robbery in Winter Haven. Around 10:30 on Friday, March 13th, 2015, 2 unknown male suspects entered the Easy Way drive-thru located at 34th Street Northwest in Winter Haven, armed with a silver semi-automatic handgun and an aluminum baseball bat. After robbing the 2 store clerks of cash and cigarettes, the suspects fled on foot, jumping a fence behind the business. One suspect is described as 5'10" to 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, wearing black pants and shoes, a brown short-sleeved shirt, and blue latex gloves. His head was covered in black. The other suspect is described as 6 to 6 foot 2 tall, 200 pounds, wearing black pants and shoes, a long-sleeved black shirt, blue latex gloves, and a brown ski mask. A burglary was reported to the Lake Wales Police Department. On February 8, 2015, the Lake Wales Police Department investigated a residential burglary which occurred at 4283 Ashton Club Drive. The intruder forced open a sliding glass door, entered the residence, and stole several expensive jewelry items. The vehicle in the photographs was reported to have picked up an unidentified person at the residence on the same date as the burglary. On Tuesday, January 27, 2015, at approximately 7:36 p.m., 3 suspects entered the Ulta Beauty located at 919 Lakeland Park Center Drive number 3 and removed 2 bottles of men's Aqua di Gio cologne. The same suspects previously entered the store on December 7, 2014 and removed several $100s of men's cologne as well. Suspect number 1 is a Hispanic female with long black hair in a ponytail, wearing black pants, black long sleeve shirt, average height, medium build, and approximately 40 years of age. Suspect number 2 is a Hispanic male, short black hair, eyeglasses, wearing black jeans, black sport jacket with brown sleeves, average height, slender build, and approximately 40 years old. And suspect number 3 is a Hispanic female with long black curly hair, wearing black pants, black shirt, average height, medium build, and approximately 40 years old. If you have any information in reference to this case, please contact the Lakeland Police Department at 863-834-8958 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-226-8888. 8477. Polk County Sheriff's Office detectives are asking for the public's help in another theft investigation between the hours of 9 a.m. on Sunday, February 8th, and 8 p.m. on Wednesday, February 11th, 2015. A homemade utility trailer was removed from a residence located on Gum Road in Lake Alfred. The trailer has white siding that snaps into the black metal frame, and the top was covered by a black tarp. Polk County Sheriff's Office detectives are asking for the public's help in a theft investigation. On Thursday, February 26, 2015, a satellite dish and a piece of exercising equipment was taken from a residence on Pompano Drive in Point Siena. The suspect, described as a black male, who was seen wearing a black ball cap, a red or fuchsia color hooded jacket, and gray pants. The suspect fled the area on a black and white bicycle. In 1983, Harry Dana Braswell Jr. escaped from Sumter Correctional in Bushnell, Florida. Braswell had served 8 years of a life term for murder when he hid inside some cabinet that he and another inmate had loaded onto a truck in the facility. When the truck left the facility, Braswell and the other inmate jumped out of the truck. Braswell was born in Jasper, Florida. His relatives are in Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Texas. He has or had HDB tattooed on his left arm and a cross on a chain on the back of his right hand. Braswell is a white male, 6 foot tall, with blue-green eyes. It's assumed that he's living under an alias name and may have altered his tattoos. An age progression photo is attached to reflect how Braswell may look today. Crime Stoppers, FDLE, and the FBI are all offering rewards for information on Braswell, which results in his arrest.
Welcome back to Crime Stoppers. I'm your host, Chip Brown. Our next guest is a 30-plus year veteran of law enforcement. Joe Hall, chief of the Bartow Police Department, has been on the job in Bartow since 2009. The police department prides itself on the ability to provide police services with pride and integrity, keeping that hometown personal atmosphere. Chief Hall, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having me, Chip.
Glad to have you here, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you have to make arrangements for that, so thank you so very much. Now, if you will, Chief, tell us a little bit about the Bartow Police Department.
Well, Bartow Police Department has a very long history. We're well over our century mark in law enforcement. The PD itself, or the police department, it's comprised of 41 members, 41 sworn members, 23 non-sworn members. They police a population of about 18,000 full-time residents. Bartow being the county seat of Polk County, Monday through Friday, we police a population probably close to 10 to 20,000 more than what our full-time population is.
That has a big impact on your operations, doesn't it?
It does have a big impact, yes.
Now, I understand you started your career actually up in the North Florida area. Can you tell us about that?
I did, yeah. I was in college. I was in pre-law with the thought that I may want to be a lawyer one day. One of my professors kind of leaned me toward law enforcement, and I went to the police academy in the early 1980 actually. And after getting out of the police academy, I felt like that was my calling. And I began my career in the Panama City area. Worked a little while with the Callaway Police Department, the Bay County Sheriff's Office, and then finally retired with the Panama City Police Department.
Yeah, now I understand you were the deputy chief in Panama City, is that correct?
Yeah, at the time of my retirement in 2009, I was the deputy chief of police there and was lucky enough to get the position as chief of police here.
Yeah. You didn't have a lot of downtime then between when you retired from Panama City and when you started with Bartow, did you?
No, I didn't. It was hurried. I think I retired June 30th, if I remember correctly. And by July 13th, it was my first day on the job here.
and that included moving and finding a home and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it did. My wife and I had quite a chore there for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure that that it was. Now, like all cities, money sometimes gets real tight with certain budgets and with times of the year, and especially with the recession that we've all felt, with our governments. But Bartow has been able to really give you some additional funding and do some special projects with you, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. And you're right. The economy has really taken a toll on everyone, and those of us in government probably know best hand really how it works and how our operation is funded. But the city of Bartow in the last 5 years, 5.5 years, let's say, has really helped out the Bartow Police Department. We've gone from a workforce of 56 sworn officers to 41, and we begin that rebuilding phase. And between the city manager and the commissioners, they've helped us remodel our communications system, where I feel like it's not state of the art, I won't say, but it's up to date. It's a more friendly work environment. Our firing range, our indoor firing range has been updated. Our training equipment has been updated so that officers get real life scenario training on a daily basis if they want. All of our supervisors have been trained to operate that equipment so that at the beginning of each workday, the supervisors can take the officers into the firing range and do some training on the simulator itself.
And that's really a big thing, not only that you have your own simulator, because most of the agencies usually have to contract out and use the one through the police academy over in Winter Haven.
Right.
But you also have your own indoor range, which is a real rarity in this area.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know how much longer we'll have it, per se. Hopefully one day we'll see a new facility for the officers to work out of completely, but I don't know if any other agency has an indoor range right now or not, but for us it's a huge benefit. All of the training that the Bartow Police Department members get is not hindered by weather. Let's say, if we need to do some training with firearms, if we need to do, everything is housed indoors, and we can do it anytime we feel the need to do it.
Now, you also have areas inside that same range for a lot of personal defense or takedown maneuvers, stuff like that you can train at the same time. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. Our range is situated where, in our Public Works Department, is the department responsible for modeling that indoor area so that we can use it for a firing range and a training area. But it's set up so that we can do our self-defense training. Officers can do their defense training, their use of force training. We do all of our taser training. Everything goes on in that one room.
I know when I was over there looking at it the other day when we were showing me the facilities, I know that the lieutenant in charge of that said they have to use a special powder for the indoor because of the dangers of that sometimes. Absolutely,
yeah. Those are little nuances that you don't think about often. The gunpowder in the air and you breathe in that could be hazardous. We've installed fans and we use special ammunition and things like that to keep those opportunities down for something bad happening.
Yeah, and as I recall, most police-involved shootings do occur at night. So now you don't have to really wait until the nighttime to go out and train on the range. You can actually, make it night inside the facility and have the blue lights going and some distractions. So.
Absolutely, yeah, good point. We have the lighting design so that we can make it nighttime inside that room with the police blue light bar flashing in the background so that they can see just how that affects their decision making.
I know when we spoke previously that you had talked about a lot of emphasis going back into community policing, and you were mentioning about a new community services team. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. We in law enforcement we've evolved over the years, and everything kind of goes full circle, I believe. And in the 90s, community policing was really big. The federal government assisted by funding local law enforcement agencies to create these programs. The funding kind of dried up over time. But building partnerships with whomever it may be, with the Bartow Police Department, we rely on several different agencies, Crime Stoppers, Polk County Sheriff's Office for assistance. And building a partnership with the community is very important. In 2012, we were able to create a team called the Community Service Team. This group of individuals, which consist of 3 officers and a crime analyst, are specifically designed to identify crime trends in the city of Bartow, focus on those areas, and look for a solution to the problem that patrol officers just don't have time to deal with.
Absolutely. You're obviously trying to be proactive and not reactive.
That's exactly the point, right? Trying to get out there and be proactive rather than responsive to a call, or reactive, as you say.
And it looks like, from what I can see on your crime stats, you're having some success with that.
Yeah. We're not where I want to be, obviously, but since 2000, I think the population of Bartow has increased by about a little over 15%. And since that same time, the crime rate has actually gone down 28% in the city. This past year, we've seen, since 2008, we've seen a reduction in crime rate every year, which is good, don't get me wrong, but we're really going to focus extra hard this year and try to get those numbers down even further.
Yeah, it does take a community effort, like you say, because there's just so many variables involved. And having that trust in the community and having the community have that trust in your officers in the department is just invaluable.
Well, it's essential, absolutely. Yeah, a police department is not going to be successful without the support of the community that they police, and that's essential in order to get the job done. We look at things around the country nowadays, and some of the issues that have surfaced over time, and you just see how important it is for the community and the law enforcement community to build those partnerships and work together. Yeah.
Speaking of partnerships, we had talked about the stuff that the city commission and the mayor have been able to do for you. You seem to have a really good relationship with your bosses, if you will.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our city manager is George Long, and the working relationship that we have with the city manager and the city commission in the city of Bartow is unbelievable. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never had a bad relationship with the elected officials or the city manager. But coming here in a time where the economy's down, or coming to Bartow, when the economy's down and we're just on a rebuilding phase and things are questionable at best, once we identified these areas that we needed help with additional training, additional equipment, remodeling our communications center and trying to get those things up and running so that we can do a better job more efficiently in the future, hands down, I could not have asked for more support from that group.
Yeah, that certainly makes everybody's job much easier, and you say communication is the key. There are going to be issues, obviously, and you have to work through those. So it's certainly speaks well of you and your agency.
Well, thank you, Chip.
Yeah, Chief Hall, it's been a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Look forward to maybe a follow-up interview later on, or some more about Bartow and the Bartow Police Department.
Absolutely, anytime.
Thank you. For more information about the Bartow Police Department, you can go to www.cityofbartow.net or join them on social media at facebook.com/Bartow Police Department. That's going to do it for this edition of Crime Stoppers. Keep in mind that Heartland Crime Stoppers is an organization that helps law enforcement solve crime through anonymous tips and monetary awards. It encourages a cooperative partnership between law enforcement, the media, and the community to ensure and enhance our quality of life here in Polk County. For more information, you can check us out on the web at heartlandcrimestoppers.com or follow us on Facebook at Heartland Crime Stoppers Florida. Until next time, keep in mind, it's a crime and they shouldn't get away with it.